Hi, guys. Welcome to Weekly Travel Updates. I am Melinda Fargas, the proud owner of Action Travel. Thank you for 34 years in this area. We closed our office back in April, and I am working privately now, and I absolutely love it. If I have done travel for you before, you are one of those people that I would work with again. Otherwise, you have to come by referral or some other way. I'm just not working with John Q. Public anymore. Okay, I wanted to start off tonight with something I heard funny. I thought it was hilarious. This guy was just off of a cruise, and he said it must be okay now to walk outside and expose yourself in your underwear because his cabin was on one of those cabins that overlooked the interior of the ship. And he was on an upper floor. He looked down. Well, first thing, when you're on any of these interior balconies, everybody can see everything because he showed a scan of what he could see down below him, and he could see every balcony across the ship from him, as well as most of them below him. Anyway, the funny thing was, this guy came out in his underwear and sprayed his armpits with deodorant. I guess he didn't want, that cloud of deodorant inside of his room. But oh my goodness, obviously he wasn't thinking. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. Another funny thing that I heard about this week was there was a hairy chest contest. Must have been on Carnival because, well, years ago I saw them on Carnival. Anyway, this guy kind of meanders around and he doesn't really, want to be first or second. He wants to be last. So the first guy takes off his shirt and, they turn on music and you dance to it. And, he got round of applause. The second guy, he danced right in front of the female judge and he got a big round of applause. I don't know what the third guy did, but our guy was the fourth guy. And this fourth guy, he had kept his shirt on. And the cruise director said, "Dude, don't you realize that this is a hairy chest contest?" And he said, "Oh yeah, but I just didn't want to reveal until now." He takes off his shirt and his hairy chest has been shaved to where he looks like he has a bikini on. Is that funny or not? I thought I was going to die laughing. Maybe you had to hear it from the source, but a hairy-chested guy with a cutout of a bikini on his chest, I thought was funny. Okay, to more serious things, and this week's big news. I guess Ernesto's probably the biggest thing going on because it went up the East Coast. There were 29 water rescues in Wilmington, North Carolina alone this weekend. Rip currents there's warnings all up and down the East Coast, all the way up into Canada. The New York beaches were closed this weekend. And man, wouldn't that be terrible? You live in the city, go out to the beach, and everything's closed. That would be bad. But not only has it wreaked havoc with the rip currents, but it took a direct hit to Bermuda as a Category 1, 100-mile-an-hour winds, 87 miles an hour sustained winds. So it went in as gust. The record that I heard was 100 miles per hour, but sustained winds, 87 miles per hour. If you've ever been to Bermuda, it's a beautiful place. 36,000 residents are on the island with power. Not 30,000 residents, but not people, but homes. 36,000 homes in Bermuda. It's only 17 miles long. So as 35-foot waves came crashing into Bermuda, the infrastructure of their electricity was the main thing that was hit. They drink water and use the water right off of their rooftops. So that's one of the reasons why, we tout that Bermuda's so clean. They drink right off the water, right off of their roof. They had 7 inches to 9 inches on Saturday. Huge flooding issues. But when I heard 35-foot waves, I was just heartbroken. But the way that the storm came in, there are very high cliffs. So if there's any good out of it, it's that much of the brunt of those big waves were slamming against the cliffs of Bermuda. One place that has cliffs, but they also have a cave that is beach level, is at Elbow Beach. And obviously the cave flooded. I haven't seen any reports directly from them, but they're the ones, they have a stairway cut into the side of the cliffs that walk you from the top upper level where all the buildings are down to the beach. So it's one of my favorite places. I hope that everything there is okay. The other problem with Ernesto is that it spun 22 tornadoes since Friday up and down the East Coast. That's scary. And I didn't know that until I studied today. The infrastructure of the power in Bermuda is really their issue. They're working on it. Bermuda sees lots of storms, and the infrastructure to the power is the main issue. But pray for them. Anybody who's been direct hit with the hurricane knows that irregardless of there not being lives lost because they were prepared, there's lots and lots of destruction. If you just Google Bermuda, you'll see, or Google Ernesto, Bermuda, or Ernesto, Connecticut, because that's the next thing I'm going to tell you. But Ernesto, Bermuda will show you there was lots of foliage and leaves everywhere. The first shots that I saw when it was occurring, the whole side of the island was white. It looked like snow, but obviously it wasn't. It was sea foam. But boy, that is a scary sight. 35-foot waves. I will tell you that the cliffs at Elbow Beach are probably 50 feet. So still 35-foot waves. Oh my goodness. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about the monkeypox. Guys, last Thursday, the WHO declared this a world health emergency. I have studied a whole lot since last week when this was announced, because I want you to be informed. And so in 2022, when we first heard about this was going to be the next big thing. It was right as COVID was subsiding. That was a clade 2. That's the variant that through vaccinations they were able to contain. This is clade 1B. And for some reason, it has been able to get outside of the Congo, the Republic of Congo. You'll see the DMC. So the freaky thing is a 33-year-old man in the Philippines was diagnosed on Friday. He's not traveled internationally. Um, and they're just worried. How could this be? On Wednesday, it was reported that Sweden had its first case. According to these people, they had not traveled internationally either. So what they're thinking is possibly somebody left one of the infected African areas and they were asymptomatic, meaning, it didn't show full signs yet, but they carried the virus. So we are really concerned because for it to show up in the Philippines, where the Afghan refugees who are trying to make their way to the United States, they have moved them all to the Philippines, waiting for the next step in their progression of trying to get to the US for asylum. They're housing all those people in the Philippines, according to reports that I read today. And China is taking it seriously enough that they're pretty much closing their borders. They have increased every part of security that they can, and they're just really discouraging travel at all. If you have traveled to the Philippines in the last 30 days, you can't come in. And I think it's going to get like that. What the Philippines says is that they are not going to go back to the way that things were during the pandemic. They're not going to shut their borders. They're not going to be told what they have to do. So, man, that's what do you think of that? I was pretty surprised. I think that if I had a disease coming through North Carolina and it was very, very contagious, I would want to keep other people from getting it. So I don't know, but that's not what the Philippines are doing. The way that this comes about is through touch or close contact. So the monkeypox clad 2, which they felt like they contained through vaccination, was transmitted through intimate contact. This strand does not require intimate contact. This, if you were sitting beside me for 15 minutes, it takes as little as 15 minutes of being in the presence of somebody that it could also affect you. That's pretty scary. What they're saying is that it's going to mimic the flu. It comes on as fever. 4 to 5 days later, you have a breaking out. As I was listening to this today, all I could think about was Mom's shingles, which she is still highly in pain over. So y'all, please just continue to pray for her. I hate to see my mama cry. It breaks my heart. Okay. Anyway, the rash that breaks out 4 to 5 days then become blisters. Clear fluid is in them, much like what the shingles had. But within days of fluid being in these blisters, the fluid turns to pus. And then it's all highly infectious. So that sounds awful. The WHO leader, who is Teddy Herbosa, they first detected this monkeypox in 23. And on Wednesday, they determined that it would be a world public health emergency, with 524 deaths so far. Spreading is fatal. 5% of adults who get it die. 10% of kids who get it die. And now the question is there some agenda behind this? Because this was discovered last fall. This mimics very much what happened to us 4 years ago. And so some conspiracy theorists have out there, this is all part of the election and da 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 da. And that's how it's spreading, is because it's being planted in other places. Gosh, who knows? But tell me what you think. I would like to know. Put it down below if you can, or if you will. And if you're not watching me on YouTube, go over to YouTube, please, and subscribe. Any given week, I have 300 people watch this on Facebook, and I have 4 or 5 watch it on YouTube. Anyway, I would very much appreciate that if you will. It doesn't cost you anything. It just lets YouTube know that, what I'm sharing is content that some people have interest in. Not everybody, obviously, but some people. I'm going to end tonight with just some other information that came up this week. When I said severe weather across the country, Louisiana had the hottest day of the year yesterday with 115 degrees. They put crayons on the side of a metal container. If it hadn't been solid white, you would have thought it was like an old 50-gallon drum or something. It was that size. They taped crayons around the top and did a speed up video of it. And the crayons ran in all different colors down the side of this yesterday within an hour. So what they're saying, they were trying to explain the heat advisory, because if you're not used to it and you are out and about, this kind of heat is detrimental to people. One of my friends just got back from Las Vegas, and he said, man, when you walk outside, it's like you opened an oven door. That's true. That is what it feels like, exactly. And what if you were having to live in that constantly? Because this is going on a week of very, very high record-breaking temperatures across our South. Think about those people. And I told you about that. Oh my goodness. Right before I got ready to come on, because I watched stuff to the very last minute, there was a capsized large luxury yacht off of the coast of Sicily today. There was a fierce storm, and 184 foot luxury boat is what they called it. It capsized, and there is 1 dead and 6 people missing. So tonight, as you go to bed, be thankful that you weren't there, and pray for these people who are suffering through it. Well, guys, thank you for watching tonight. I appreciate it. We still have some space on our January 2nd through the 11th cruise. You can get on it, all inclusive, meals, drinks, specialty dining, Wi-Fi, port taxes, $2,100 a person. It's a good deal. 10 days. Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, Grand Cayman, and 4 days at sea to rest right after Christmas. Sign me up. I'm going. All right. Talk to you later.